Hey, what's happening, guys? This is Mike Moo here, and I have been reviewing the Nitecore USN1 for the past couple of weeks now. It is a dual charger that was designed for the Sony FW50 series, which is basically the battery system that is used in a couple of my cameras. So one is the Alpha 6500 that I'm recording on right now. It's also got the RX10 series, which I also use, and I did a review on RX10 Mark IV camera. And the reason why you need an external charger because Sony doesn't give you one at all, is that the batteries run through it like nothing. So if you don't own one of these cameras, you probably don't know. The only exception to this is probably the RX10 Mark IV, which seems to do all right, unless I'm recording with 4K video most of the time. So it's very apparent. You can see that it's pretty compact and fairly small compared to the RAV Power one that I also recommended as well. The RAV Power one actually comes free with 2 batteries. Okay, so this one, the Nitecore USN1, runs $20 US and is available right now on Amazon.com. I want to thank Nitecore for sending this out for me to review. I didn't actually purchase this myself, but everything about what I'm talking about or testing with this is all done on my own, and I did not have anybody check or review this before posting this. So you can see it has a built-in USB plug, which is very useful because most of the other chargers out there either plug in directly to the socket or they actually don't come with a USB cable permanently attached. So this has some benefits and drawbacks. Of course, one of the benefits is that you always have the cable attached, so all you need is a USB port to plug in. It's nice, short, and sweet, which is great. The other benefit also is the fact that it's ready to go. It's always ready to go. So in a different charging scenario, you got to remember to bring the cables. And yeah, everybody always travels with micro USB cables or the USB cables that need to charge for yourself, but you'll be surprised how many times where I'm like, dang it, I didn't bring enough, and then I got to switch back and forth. Okay, so that's one benefit. It charges 2 batteries together all at once. It's got a nice screen on here. I have this plugged into an external USB power bank right now. One of the negatives about this is that the cable that is in there is really, really short. And because it's really short, you're going to want to buy a USB extension cable. I'll have the link down below about that so that you can go and get one if you do need to charge a little bit further away. Now, as you can see on the screen right here, it has a USB. It has an LCD screen. It has slot 2 and slot 1, which is slot number 1, slot number 2 shown here. It gives you the voltage that is on the battery to let you know just kind of what health it is, and it tells you whether or not it's good and probably bad, or if you need to replace this soon. And then it also tells you on the side roughly how many milliamp hours of charging you've done on the battery itself to give you an idea just how much you've added to the system. Another thing is, if you are using this completely from zero, it will actually let you know roughly how much charge was put in there, so you'll also be able to tell what the capacity is on the unit. It's really easy to go ahead and plug right in there. Because of the compact nature of it, the batteries do have a stand vertically, as you can see here over here on the side. It is vertically, and it charges third-party batteries and original Sony batteries with no problem whatsoever. I have not had any compatibilities at all. One also useful thing that you can probably find out about this just from looking at it is that it's so compact, you see that you'll just more likely take this with you. Sometimes when I'm traveling, I look at the camera and I look at the charger and I'm thinking, you know what, I need to save that extra space for other things. So I would just plug it in through micro USB on the camera. This has some negative effects that could potentially damage your camera if you keep and use the micro USB port a lot. So this will help protect the amount of use and abuse that you might get on your camera should something happen to it. I don't know how many times I've been somewhere where I've actually plugged in my my systems into charge along with USB cords, and sometimes in the hotel room I got to run this all the way through the the floor and the walls, and from the wall, plug charger all the way to the charger, and sometimes, you know, you trip over them. And that is a really sad thing to have happen because I've broken cables this way. I've broken cameras this way. It is not a pretty sight at all. So definitely having some sort of thing out here that is completely separate and actually shorter in cable length is actually one of those weird and strange benefits that sometimes you just don't think of. All right, now another thing about this, and I'm going to have a little tip for you right here, is that you want to go ahead and make sure that you bring along a rubber band. Why do I say rubber band? Well, the rubber band actually helps you. Just get any rubber band. The rubber band helps you to go ahead, and if you're charging this on the go like I do, having the rubber band that you can just stick on top of this. See, I can secure this and charge in my bag by putting in a rubber band on top of it, and this just basically holds it nice and tight there. So the batteries don't move, the cable, you know, is short. I could just stick this into my bag and come back to a charged set of batteries while I'm walking around. Surprisingly, I got to do this more often than not, mostly because I'm really paranoid about the battery life that I get out of this with my Alpha 6500. And this way I can walk around, not worry about the batteries actually falling out. And I actually use this on my trips, and it actually works out pretty well. So it charges in about an hour or two. So if you're out all day and you don't carry as many batteries, maybe you carry 4 batteries, 5 batteries, but you have a couple of Sony cameras that need to go ahead and be charged throughout the day. This way, this ensures that you always have a set of charged batteries ready to go. Another benefit is that when you have this plugged in to the USB charger, it'll let you know when it's done and when it's completely finished charging. So it'll tell you it says end, which basically means that it is finished charging. And this way you'll know. Sometimes I stick this in there, and I'm not really great at this. And in my bag, I have a Peak Design bag. There's separate slots available for me to go ahead and stick in batteries. That the idea is that if you stick it in a green slot or this side slot, you can kind of organize it in a certain way to let you know when the batteries are done. Sometimes when I'm on the go, I don't get a chance to go ahead and do that. I basically just quickly change and toss the batteries into the bag, and I figure, hey, I will just deal with this later. And when I do that, sometimes I come back and I get a battery that is not charged, and I thought it was, or only has 5% left, but it's too late to change now because the action is about to start, and you know, I'm kind of screwed. I got to scramble for an external USB battery pack to try to plug into the micro USB port on the camera to continue recording, and that's just not fun for anybody. So before I do that, I can have this all set up in my bag and put in the batteries, and it'll let me know in a second or two roughly how much. You see there's a scale here. There's a 5-bar scale here. It lets you know in terms of increments of 20% where you're at. So I can see this battery right now is probably going from 60% to 80%. And that's slot 1, which is this top slot here. Second one, slot number 2, it's already ended. It's done. It's charged. I'm good to go. I can take this back out, and now that I have time to organize it, I could easily go through one by one and figure out exactly what charges is. Yes, you can do the same thing on your camera, right? But when you're doing that, you can't use your camera. You can't do it for other things, and also you also run a number of risks when you're doing that as well. Obviously, one, I mentioned a micro USB risk of keeping it plugged in and yanking it out, breaking the USB port, knocking down your camera. Number 2, you wear out the micro USB port. Number 3, you run the risk of perhaps memory card corruption if you stick that in there and there's really not enough battery charge left, and you happen to be doing some sort of function on the memory, you're viewing pictures, it could lead to corruption because the system could completely shut off. This completely negates that ever happening to you because you have an external charger that isn't affected, isn't writing any data on your memory card. All right, that's a lot of talking for a $20 USB battery. And, you know, I appreciate that this might be overanalyzing a lot, but this is the type of things that I think about when I'm going out there, and the type of things that maybe you will figure out could be a bunch of headaches when you're out there trying to shoot stuff and your batteries are constantly running out because you don't have the latest Sony, which uses the Z system batteries of the Alpha 9 and the Alpha 7R3 and the Alpha 7 III that were recently just announced. Okay, so I think it pretty much covered all my experiences with using the USN1. It's $20, it's a no-brainer, you should get it. It charges all your batteries safely and fairly efficiently. I can't tell you right now at this point because I haven't fully tested and compared between the charge speeds of plugging in directly to your camera and using the RAV Power third-party batteries and some of my other battery chargers when charging the batteries. But I can tell you it runs about just roughly the same. It's not too far off, and throughout my use, I've noticed that this has not overheat in any way, shape, or form. So there's no issues with that as well. Of course, that could have a lot to do with the battery and the life that's left in it. I have relatively new batteries. They probably don't have more than 10 cycles each on these. I like to rotate these out all the time. And yeah, sometimes I get some bad batteries. This is not a review of the .01, but I have some .01 batteries that have actually gone bad on me, and I'm not sure why. The RAV Powers have worked out pretty well, and I've not had any issues with that, nor have I had any issues with the original Sony batteries that came with my camera system. Okay, so again, to sum this up, the Nitecore USN1 battery charger is now my current favorite battery charger. It is smaller and lighter than my other previous battery charger, which is the RAV Power one, which came with 2 batteries for about $30. You can check down the link down below. But this gives me the additional benefit of a screen and control panel, a screen which basically gives me a dashboard view of what's going on with the charging and the batteries, what condition it is, what the temperature range is, and also the amount of charge level in there and how much is charged during that session. So it gives me all this information that I don't normally get on a third-party charger, which is basically letting me know whether or not it's charging or whether it's done. This way I know that, hey, at least I got 50%, at least I got 25%, which gives me roughly maybe 10 minutes of 4K charging, you know, or 15 minutes of charging, or maybe, you know, a full-on battery might give me 500 pictures if I'm shooting burst, or realistically about 300 pictures. So if I only got 50% charge in here, I'm looking at maybe 150 pictures using my Alpha 6500. You know, it gives me information that's useful out there in the field. And with the addition of a rubber band, I can ensure that I can charge on the go real easily, compactly, and not take up too much space in my bag. If you are interested in purchasing this product, please check out my links down below. Just check out the latest price. Right now it's 20 bucks. I think personally, I think it's a no-brainer. I'm not paid to say that. I've had some other battery chargers that are not that great, which I actually don't talk about because why would I talk about something that's really bad? This is not sponsored, but I did receive this charger from Nitecore sample as a review. As I get more bags and I separate my equipments, I'm definitely going to get another one. So I'm going to get another one to use while I'm on the go to make sure that I don't have to worry about whether or not I kept one at home or kept one in this bag, kept one in that bag. It's just good to have as a grab bag ready to go, have extra batteries in each different type of bags. I'm often concerned, if you can't tell, I'm often concerned about whether or not I have enough battery power. Because sometimes you bring out all this equipment and then you find out that you did not bring the batteries. And that even just now, my Sling Studio external charger, my Sling Studio camera link right now that is showcasing this view angle right now, I mean, the battery is completely out and I had to use an external battery charger to make sure it's ready to go. So this is great to always be prepared with your Sony system. I think that once I get the new series, which is the A7 III, which is the Z battery system, which this does not work with, and there is no external battery charger by a third party for the Z system that I know of that I can recommend right now, then until I get that, I'm going to just continue to worry about chargers and batteries. And that's just the fact. Okay, so do yourself a favor. Go ahead and get this US battery charger. If you have any questions, please comment down below. Let me know what's going on. Or if you have any other, if you would like to see any specific tests for me to do. I was just thinking that I was just going to put a head-to-head comparison, charging via time lapse of the various batteries and brands of batteries that I have using the Nitecore versus using the Nitecore versus using the RAV Power versus using the USB charging of the Sony Alpha 6500 plugged in to let you know real world what we're looking at, and do a time lapse to see how long it takes and roughly how much each one charges. This, of course, has been charging all my batteries up to 100% after I leave it in there. So when it says it's good, when I plug it into my Sony Alpha 6500, it reports that it's at 100%, as much as accurately as can be told. So, all right, this is a long enough video. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe. I really need that 1,000 subscribers sooner rather than later. And you know, I'm getting close. Right now I'm probably at about, I want to say 100 subscribers short. And I really need to hit that because I want to remain I want to continue to be a YouTube partner, and you know, get some money from YouTube for my efforts. All right, so I can make more videos like this ultimately for you guys. Okay, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. It is like 70 degrees out. Do the tornado.
Probably to the other side. I don't know what to do. Go, I'm gonna just close my eyes. No, don't spin. Go. That little baby braver than me.
Bye-bye.
I guess she's not a snowboarder.